Now, there are others in this book.
That's right. If you remember, oh man, I don't even remember how long ago it was. Oprah was on TV telling us to read this book. It was called The Da Vinci Code.
Oh, right.
And it threw the Christian world up in arms because we didn't know how to respond to it because no one had read one blood, one religion, or whatever this was based on, supposedly. And so this is kind of the idea that, Jesus had a wife, and there's a global conspiracy headed by the Vatican to suppress this for purposes. I don't know. It was a poorly written book. It was just so poorly written. I don't understand why it got so popular.
Well,
other than the fact that it was an interesting take, and everyone likes a good mystery, especially a global conspiracy involving clues like Indiana Jones. Everyone loves Indiana Jones. I can understand that. So Dan Brown, the author, kind of states his case with a couple of these points. So in the first 3 centuries, the warring between Christians and pagans threatened to rend Rome in two. Wow. That's a claim that's made in the book. The doctrine that Jesus is the Son of God was fabricated for political reasons at the Council of Nicaea in AD 325. Was affirmed by a close vote.
Wow.
So close. Yeah.
Right. So he really wasn't. They just voted. They counted noses and they said, I guess he is, right? The Son of God.
Right. Peer review.
That's
Peer
right.
Constantine arranged for all Gospels depicting Jesus as a mere mortal to be gathered up and destroyed.
That's right. So let's burn all the Gospels that say that Jesus is just a person.
We have to keep the secret for reasons.
Got to keep it. Right.
The Dead Sea Scrolls found in a cave near Qumran in the 1950s confirm the fabrication of this, okay? And that thousands of Christians followers wrote accounts of Jesus' life. These evolved through countless traditions, additions, and revisions. History has never had a definitive version. And so this is kind of our hypothesis, maybe sneaking in a little bit. And, a good book to counteract that is, or to talk about that is questions. Let's see, it's
it's by Kruger.
Michael J. Kruger.
Yeah.
And it's Questions of the Canon.
There you go.
Yeah. And I'll put a link in the description in case we're incorrect in that. But we should be specific and know our facts.
Because we want to be powerful.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So the first 3 centuries, the warring between Christians and pagans threatened to rend Rome in two. Well, this isn't accurate at all because the first 3 centuries of Christianity were on the run. It was fought in just not being burned in the Colosseum.
Right. If you call a war, if you're caught, you're burned at the stake.
Right.
If you call that a war,
fed to animals.
Yeah. There's a huge one-sided war, we might say. Right.
It was kind of dictated by martyrdom is what it was. In fact, they wouldn't even fight tormentors like Diocletian that executed Christianity by the thousands just 20 years before Constantine, who supposedly made everything all better. And Diocletian is one that if he didn't go out and burn so many manuscripts trying to end Christianity at the Scripture, which tells you Scripture might have been important back in the day and not just people's opinion, we would probably actually have even a greater attestation for the original manuscripts because of what he did. We only have a few left, and that's conjecture as well.
25,000,
right? A few, and now high quality scans and a whole new discoveries being made there. How about the doctrine that Jesus is the Son of God was fabricated for political reasons at the Council of Nicaea at AD 325, and it was affirmed by this close vote? This is just not the case. We have extensive records of the proceedings written by those who were actually there, Eusebius of Caesarea and Athanasius of Alexandria. 2 things stand out in account that pertain to the claim. First, no one in Nicaea considered Jesus to be a mere mortal, not even Arius, whose errant views made the council necessary.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe that's the case, but it had to be a close vote.
Right.
Everyone in the discussion believed Jesus was the Son of God. They disagreed on what the title meant.
So it wasn't as he claims that, this was
all,
man. Yeah, he was just a mere man and it was all
Right.
fabricated. No, everybody believed that he was the Son of God. He was more than a mere man.
Right.
They're just trying to decide what the phrase means, right? Son of God.
The question of Christ's deity was the reason for the council, not the mere result of it. So after a pitched debate, the final vote came very close. And the close one was 318 to kind of 0, but to 2 if you count people that didn't really want to weigh in on the issue as offending.
So it wasn't a close vote?
318 to 2. I'm pretty sure that nicks it over the line of the 99%.
And these 2 refused to concur, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Not enough evidence.
Right.
So the council affirmed what had been taught since the beginning. Jesus was not a mere man. He was the Son of God.
Now notice this we're not just counting heads and therefore Jesus is the Son of God, right? They already believed that. This was, Jesus had shown himself to be the Son of God by various miracles and that sort of thing. So that really wasn't the issue. The issue was, what does it mean? Exactly what does that mean? Right. And they came to the conclusion it meant literally that Jesus was God's Son, right? He was God the Son. That's what it meant, right?
Right.
And all of them agreed to that except for 2 people. So 318 agreed to it.
So this idea of the Trinity coming at much later, it might have been greater spelled out in the form that we know it. But the revelation of the Trinity of the one being in God with the 3 persons of the Father, Son, and Spirit seemed to be actually assumed in Paul's writings. Yeah, so it seems to be an in between the testaments understanding. So when Paul says Christ is the Son of God, no one's like, well, hold on, Paul. What do you mean by that? No, well, I mean by that he's just a guy, and
mere mortal.
He just has the title of son, or he doesn't come right out and say, what I mean by this is there's not a big revelation there. Right, so. Right. Coming from a monotheistic religion, especially Paul, who was trained in the might of Rome and under good scholars, he doesn't seem to do this.
Right,
I wonder why that is.
So it wasn't fabricated for political reasons, and it wasn't affirmed by a close vote.
Right.
Oops.
How about the fact that the Dead Sea Scrolls found in the cave near Qumran in the 1950s confirmed the fabrication? Okay. Let's assume that the 1950s it really was the 40s.
It really was the 40s.
Right.
Yeah.
However, the Dead Sea Scrolls talk about the Old Testament. Ooh. Other than the fact that Jesus is God, it doesn't mention Jesus as anything in there.
Right. So they don't confirm the idea that this was all made up and Jesus really wasn't the Son of God. Right?
You wouldn't believe what the Dead Sea Scrolls say about Jesus if you listen to this one scholar that talks about it.
They don't even talk about Jesus.
Right. Yeah, they don't even talk about it. Therefore, he never existed. Right. No, that's not what it talks about. It's Old Testament, and there's a discussion to be had about then Old Testament canon. Sure, you can bring that in, but there's nothing about Jesus in there. Constantine arranged for all the Gospels depicting Jesus as a mere mortal to be gathered up and destroyed.
Whoa.
Well, if that's the case, how do we know that? All of it was brought up, so how can we say?
All of them were destroyed, then
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the issue there. Thousands of Christ followers wrote accounts of Jesus' life. They're evolved through countless traditions, additions, revisions. History has never had a definitive version. This just isn't true.
So, the idea here is that people kind of just got together or individually and just wrote fabrications about what Jesus' life was like. Right.
So this wasn't the internet. We couldn't track all these down. How did Constantine do that? And where are all these other copies? How did you have churches in different sections kind of come to the same theological conclusions if they're not passing the same material through other people and teaching this the similar way? Now, once you get kind of 2nd century, maybe you can have a discussion about the influence of the Gnostics and stuff like that. And Kruger has also a good book on there about the 2nd century Christianity. Mm-hmm. But again, this is kind of that Bauer hypothesis that people like Bart Ehrman espouse to, but it just doesn't hold water. And Kruger does a really good job of asserting the facts and really breaking it down and then giving a positive claim for not just why the Bauer hypothesis is wrong, but why the current idea of what we have of there being agreement general agreement on the basic principles of what makes Christians is accurate. And so that's a really good book. And having that in your library, having those facts kind of under your control, when people bring up, well, history is written by the victors, and Rome just picked the winner. It was the biggest church at the time. Well, contrary to what Rome says, Rome didn't even exist at the time of this argumentation. So, sorry, I can't do that. There were still bishops in Rome, bishops plural with S's on the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's what we have. So when Dan Brown tells you that all of creation is hinged upon the genuflecting before the grave of Mary Magdalene, and that's the greatest thing you can do with your life. You can kind of dismiss that because that's not what history plays out. And, Dan Brown in the beginning of his book pretty much alludes to the fact that he believes this, or at least some iteration of it.